Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back with another book study.
You're gonna see that's gonna make it hard to smile in the future. But through whatever you see, through all the rain and pain, you gotta keep
We're going to get started in just a minute.
smile through all this bullshit. Keep your head up. Our lifestyles be closed captions, addicted to fake attractions, pictures and actions, laid back in the midst of mansion. No fairy tales for this young black male. Some see me stranded in this land of hell, jail and crack sales, hustle and hawking. Tales for this young black male. Some see me stranded in this land of hell, jail and crack sales, hustle and hawking. And the next generation.
Okay. And it got knocked out in the first 5 seconds. Look, what is really going on? Okay, we are about to get started with the history of Black Wall Street. I want to share out the live. Give me just a minute. Thank y'all for joining. How are you, Clifford? How are you, Stacy? Devon Honors. Hope y'all are having a great day. It's been a little rainy in Texas today, but we makes the best of it, and the rain is always needed. How are you, love? I am. Hello, Granny said. How are you? It's been another one of them days. A beautiful day, a beautiful day. It is. I am great. I am great. I wanted to go over the history of Black Wall Street today because of the late passing of Viola Fletcher, who was 111. What a vital age to make it to, right? Thank you, love. I am. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And her brother passed before her. And so now there's like one survivor left out of the 3 survivors who were going back and forth to the Capitol before Congress to still fight the case, still wanting to be heard. And after listening to some of the interviews, you hearing them say that they just want, it's like recognition, you know what I'm saying? They want it to be acknowledged at least. Like, the first step is at least acknowledging that something happened, and not just brushing over the truth. And so I found out that Viola had published her own book, and this is her book. It's called Don't Let Them Bury My Story. So I decided that, instead of, as an author, I am a book lover, but it's not always about my books. It's about the information, right? And who better to get the information from but the source itself? Of course, my book is a book telling the story, but it's telling it from generations later after the fact of what I've heard and what I found out in my research. But she was there. She was right there in the midst of it all. So, of course, her book is going to be a more detailed book. It's going to be a keepsake because she was the oldest publisher, first of all, when she published this book. And then she's no longer here. So I feel like this book is way more vital than any book that I have or that I have published. And I think it's important to add it to your library of books because I feel like it's going to tell a more in-depth story from her point of view, from someone who was there. Even though she was a child, she was still there. So it's a story that needs to be heard. And I haven't even got this book, but I'm definitely going to put it on my list of books, my next book to order. So it's something that I feel like it's important to have in your book of books. Thank you, I Am Wisdom, for the roses. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for the heart me's as well. So we're going to dive into some of the research that I have done in my history of Black Wall Street. Of course, anybody that looks into this history, if you've heard multiple stories, you hear that a lot of people that live right there haven't heard the full story or didn't hear the full story until they moved away. And that's the sad part about it. My mom did get into some of the history with us when we were young, but I didn't remember it because she was trying to remind me, like, remember this and remember that. Because she was one of those advocates for us knowing our history. But a lot of what people are saying is that it's not in the books. They're not teaching it right there in the books. So, they're not going to teach it here in Texas or in any other states. But most of the people that find out about it in college, from a professor or from another source. Most of the time it's a teacher. And I heard 3 different sources. Damarion, which is the attorney that have taken these 3 survivors back and forth to the Capitol, he said himself, like, he argued with a professor in college about this history because he had never heard it. So he kind of felt a little weird after looking into it later and finding out that there was some truth to this history. And the sad thing is that it didn't just happen in Tulsa. Another story that I wanted to dive into later is Richmond, Virginia, because it happened in Richmond, Virginia, as well as many as other places. Now, in the midst of me digging into this, I also found another story that I'm going to dive into a little bit more, but this is something you can dive into in the meantime, and it's called the Osage disasters. Now, I'm still trying to depict because they're saying Native Americans, but this happened right before Black Wall Street, and it was in Oklahoma as well. And it's all related to oil and the land as well. So you know what I'm saying? A lot of it we've already pieced together. A lot of it we already knew. A lot of it was in us, but we didn't have the proof, right? And so when you find these stories and you dig and you dig and you dig and you keep finding more stuff, and me having family there, my mom told me this, that there was one particular member of our family that was real dire about getting history about it. And my mom said that they just kept hearing stories about people burying stuff. Like in that midst of people having to hurry up and leave, if they did have time, that people were burying their valuables because they did have to leave and they couldn't take everything. And I posted maybe a month or 2 ago a story where they were digging somewhere to build something and they had found stuff and they were like, oh, we don't know, where did this stuff come from? And it's just kind of like they put out these illusions like, and it could have been this or it could have been that. And the 36 people who were unalived when we're talking about full-fledged boom, boom, booms coming down. We know that that number was much greater than that. And it's just sad that we have to go through these things where our history is constantly erased and constantly being erased, penciled in, rewritten. It's a combination of things. So I'm gonna dive into this a little bit. Let me show y'all a little bit more. So I found some of the pictures showing some businesses. These are bars and barber shops. Oh, hold on. This is even saving. And it's a beautiful thing to see something totally against what we've been told, but what we knew when you see us walking in these positions. And I was listening to a story with Viola talking. If you go to YouTube, I'm having a problem with my Wi-Fi again. So I was going to play a couple of videos, but it might be best for me to just tell you. That way I don't get flagged for anybody else bringing up these things. But she was talking about after all of this happening, because when she moved, she said that they moved to Tulsa in 1921, and or this is actually, let me see, let me read it, make sure, because there's 3 survivors. There was Viola Ford Fletcher, there was Mother Randall, and there was Hughes Van Ellis, who is also known as Uncle Red. And Hughes and Viola are sister and brother. Mother Randall is the one that's the survivor. And Viola was 7 years old. So it was Mother Randall that was saying that she moved to Tulsa. Or no. My apologies. It was her Viola's brother who was saying that they moved to Tulsa, and he was 5 months old, and he was newborn when they moved here, so it happened a few months after they moved here or whatever. But he was saying after, and you'll hear these stories a lot about sharecroppers, because we heard this, right? There's a difference between a sharecropper and a sharecropper and a slave. And so she talked about after all of this happening, how they were getting jobs as sharecroppers. And that's a video that you can look up when you look up the videos of the 3 survivors. And it's just proof that a lot of the stuff that we were told wasn't true. So, when you hear stuff like this, it does make you question everything. And it's weird that people have the audacity to ask, well, why are you digging so much? Or why do you care so much? And it's like, well, this is my family. What do you mean? Why do I care so much? This is my tribe. These are my people. This is my history. Is directly connected to my bloodline. And I should care. And anybody that's questioning why I should care, I'm questioning why you don't care. Why wouldn't you care? And the thing is, I'm not judging that you don't care, because a lot of people aren't into their history the way that I am, but how dare you judge me because I do? And everybody's path is different. Like we talked about before, your path might not be history. Your path might be something else. My path, I know for sure, is to remind you of your history, to remind you not to forget about your ancestors that paved the way for you to be here and to walk in the light in whatever you're walking in today. They provided that for you. So whether you knew them or not, there's a certain respect that should go out for them. And whether you get into it or not, it's kind of like, it's okay. It's okay for you not to understand why I love it. I might not understand why you love the things that you love, but, there's no room for criticism. And there's really no room for debate if you just do your own research. And that's where it gets a little irritating, I guess, and a little frustrating, because it's like we all have that access. If you have access to this app, you have access to do a little research, and I'm not the best researcher. Like, this is not my lane, but I know enough to do enough to find and dig through and decipher what I've been taught and what I know for sure, and to keep digging, to find the resources, to research the authors, all of the above. And what I've learned in the past, year is that I've thrown out all the information that the resource doesn't provide. Like, if the author isn't indigenous, if they aren't from Oklahoma, you know what I'm saying? If they aren't a history buff, or, I even pay respects to some history teachers, but if you're not teaching all of the history, then I have to question, what did you get into the field for? Because you hear a lot of times people that got into the field and that were teachers that no longer decide to stay in that field because they see the difference in what they wanted to do and what the system is doing, and they decided that it wasn't an alignment. So the people that are still there, is kind of like, you're not able to make your own curriculum. So the best bet for parents, that can, is to homeschool their kids so that you have full control over what your kids are learning. But that, again, takes patience, and it takes resilience, and it takes a lot of time, and a lot of parents don't have that. So they should be able to depend on the system that they're paying into. Your tax dollars are going into to teach your kids something that's fundamental, but it doesn't happen, right? So that's the world that we live in. We know that we have to learn how to separate the crap from the real deal, and it's sad that we have to, but we have to. Absolutely, right? And the thing is just that so much has happened. So it's like, okay, and now that we know about it, you mad? Look, I said that in the poem. What you mad for? How dare you be mad? It's kind of funny, but let me get some more light. So when we talk about this Black Wall Street, this was May 31st, 1921, and it went on through June 1st, 1921. And I just get into my book a little bit, and I done research outside of what I had already learned, and I went downtown, or I call it downtown. I went to Black Wall Street, and it's crazy because when I was listening to the story of Richmond, Virginia, is crazy because the same thing, it was the same play. It was just that they realized that they couldn't use the U.S. military, all of that. Look, I'm kind of skeptical on what, I don't want to get banned again. Look, but they didn't take that route. It was a slower route, but the whole concept was the same. So one of the things that kept bothering me, and that keeps bothering me to this day, is that they keep saying that it was rebuilt. It was rebuilt. It was rebuilt. So if you do your history and dive into the people who own what is now Black Wall Street, the places were never rebuilt. The building that provided all the insurance claims was one of the first buildings to be destroyed. So the people that did survive and that were still there to try to claim anything had no proof of claims, because that was the first thing is going to be asked for, right? Is what did you own, and prove what you owned. And there was no proof. So it disturbed me to walk and see these plaques. First of all, they're on the ground. So people are walking on them, and this is the dedication to every business that was destroyed. They're on the ground, and at the bottom of each one, it says that they were rebuilt. And it's not the truth. My mom told me that she remembers the area being destitute, and this is how they do with eminent domain, right? She said it was destitute, like it was really infested with all kind of crimes and stuff after that, because nobody even wanted to touch that area. It kind of got, it was sacred. It was sacred, right? So she talked about that, and then after so many years of that, the city comes in, they put a highway right through what it was, split it up, and now what it still is, there is a high rise, there's 2 museums, and that's 3 places that is taking up a lot of the income for that area. And you can do your own research on those 3 locations and see who own them and see where that money is going to. It wasn't rebuilt. And then if you talk to, and everything's still a touchy subject, because a lot of people just want to be in peace, really, when it comes to our elders. And I understand a sense of peace, but I understand, making sure that story is out there and being heard too, right? So if you look at, like I've seen articles, but I haven't seen any recent, but the prices that the people are paying that are there now just to be on that strip, and who they're paying it to, it wasn't rebuilt, and it's not ours now. So that is a plum-faced, bald-faced, straight-up lie. It's a lie. And they'll tell you that it was rebuilt and that, oh, this and that and this and that. Where? Who is the money going to? Because the survivors are still going, it was 3 and now it's 1. They were still going back and forth, and the judge threw the case out. So who's being reimbursed? And then if you look into the money that was raised and where that money went, like, it's, when I say full circle of straight, no Vaseline, and that's what it is. I'll say that in the nicest way I can, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. The people that went through it is still going through it. So, Divine Honors Rilla, how are you? I get to a point where I try not to let it make me mad no more, but it's hard not to. Divine Honors, be cool, how are you? Divine Honors, sunful afternoon, Dr. Kimberly. And so it is what it is, Thank you, Lashika, for the follow. We know the land we live in. We know it. But I decided to title the book The Gap in the Black Wall Street Story, because the Gap Band, of course, is from Tulsa, Oklahoma. My dad and my uncle went to school with Charlie Wilson, and they named the Gap Band after the 3 streets in that made up Black Wall Street, which is Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. And it's history that belongs to us, and we deserve to have it. And the fact that we are constantly silenced when we talk about it is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's plumb ridiculous, but it shows you that there's truth in it. So it's like it don't even, I won't say it don't make me as mad as it did, because now it just kind of makes me laugh, like, so it's proving the pudding of how you acting, and the fact that you keep trying to erase and write. That pencil is broke. The pencil is broke. You still trying to erase some stuff, and no. Let me change the picture. It's not impossible. Wait, look. What's the word of the real meaning? Look. I was thinking incredible, but yeah. They tried it. And we at a point where we denying it. So let me read a little bit. Recognized as the single worst incident of racial injustice, 18 hours of violent turmoil, racial bias, and hate. And, we could take racial out of that at this point and just say pure hate and pure greed, right? Over 1,000 homes and businesses destroyed. Ashay, thank you for the gift, love. I appreciate you. Over 1,000 homes and businesses destroyed, including the undocumented amount of indigenous people who did not survive to tell their story. And the weird thing is that number of, what did I say? I wrote it down, 36. 36. The number of 36. Where did y'all get this number from? Because you're saying only 36 people lost their life and all of this that happened. It's so hard to believe. And we know that belief is what you tell us, right? In this book, we will recognize and honor each business lost on Black Wall Street, currently known as the historical Greenwood District. And so I put the picture of the street on the front of the book because I thought that was vital, like knowing what, the breakdown is and just everybody who's from there and how they tie it to it. And, listen to some of the Gap Band's music. They dropped a bomb on me. Baby. Listen to some of it. Dive into it. Because now that we go back and listen to stuff and we hear it in a whole new perspective. It's not the same. It don't ring the same. And we start to understand exactly what it means. So we talking about a whole community, from doctor's offices to movie theaters to stores, corner stores, grocery stores, clothing stores, attorney offices, all of the above. And I said I didn't like the plaques on the ground because I felt like they could have, even though they have stuff hanging and stuff, we know where people is walking on the ground. I feel like there's a way that you could, peace, look. What do you do with the glasses? I've seen people do all kind of stuff. Thank you for that. I feel like there was a better way that they could be recognized instead of having it on the ground where people stepping on them. I got a problem with the floor, and I don't know if it's the old school thing with, them telling us don't put your purse on the floor or any of your valuables. I got away from the superstition because my mom's family was mad crazy with it. But I still held on to some of it because I never liked certain things, like where the bottom of your feet is or where there's dirt. You don't want your clean stuff. That's what I related it to. So anything on the ground to me is trash. Is how, and I would tell my kids, like, this the difference, and even trash has a place, right? But I don't know, in Hollywood, they do them things on the ground. So maybe that's where they get that idea from. But if you're going to recognize me, I don't want my plaque on the ground. I don't care how gold it is, because people are stepping on it. And that to me is disrespectful. I don't know. But that's just me. Maybe that's just me. I feel like there's all the buildings that were lost. You couldn't put it on a building. You couldn't put it on one of the buildings that you. So I literally just took pictures of all the plaques, and I put each business, I put the address. So, every business, would be paid homage to in some kind of way, shape, or form. And this is just the first volume. Also, there was a mural on the wall that says celebrating the past, present, and future of Tulsa's historic Greenwood district, and it has Black Wall Street written out, and like it's they kind of made a poem out of the words, and has something for everything, for every letter, you know, something kind to say. I don't know why my thing is acting up. So that was pretty nice. And they have graffiti all over the place. It looks really good, but you know, we always can't be fooled by what we see and what's pretty and what's duded up, because that don't mean anything, right? So at the end, after I have all the different plaques and showing you just all the stuff that I found downtown, it says, as of today, there is yet to be any justice, reimbursement, or even acknowledgement for the real devastation caused by our own GOV, you know what I'm talking about, except for these plaques put in place. Yes, there is new businesses thriving in the same district, but they are paying for their spaces just like any other business owner would do. I also noticed the high rises and the other businesses owned by others thriving as well off the land of our ancestors. There has been numerous court cases recently where the last remaining survivors of the immediate descendants, but these, yeah, they were the children, the descendants of their parents, right? Asking for some type of closure, only to be turned away, case closed. So no justice has been served to the indigenous of Oklahoma, and they just want closure. Records have been destroyed, so we have nothing to connect our ancestors to. And that is just the beginning, because there's so many places, right, that this has happened to, where now, like, it seemed like after that, then you start seeing floods and, you know what I'm saying, and places being replaced with parks and all of that. It's all a connection. So once we get to putting the pieces together, then we notice that, you know, then people are getting upset, or, you know, getting their little panties in a bunch about you sharing the information. And it's just more proof that there's some kind of truth in it, because if it wasn't, what are we doing? Why why are you mad? So I am learning about research. I don't do this much. I'm definitely a poet, and I love being a poet and staying in my lane. But of course, when it's your hometown and you keep hearing more and more stuff about stuff, you want more and more details about your history. I won't say stuff about stuff. You get to questioning more, and you want more answers, and you feel like you're entitled to something. You're entitled to some kind of answer, some kind of something, because people walking around like, you know what I'm saying, just you know, just living today, just act like it didn't happen, just, you know, who cares? I care. We care. Somebody cares, and somebody should care, because I would hate to leave here and people just act like, you know, in a manner, in that way, and people just keep on moving like, you know, it didn't happen. We have to pay respects to our ancestors, and I'm gonna do it every day. That's my job. I know what my job is. So my thing is, while y'all over here worried about what my job is, I'm gonna need you to get on your job, because we all have a task, right? We all have a purpose, and my purpose might not be your purpose, but that might mean stay out of my lane and find your lane, because you can help people somewhere. It might not be here, but I'm helping people connect to their history as I connect to mine. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I appreciate you, Edland. And I appreciate everyone who's on this journey with me, because we're all just trying to find a connection to something that we already knew. And there's nothing wrong with that. So nobody would make me feel bad for that. And if you questioning it, then I need you to question yourself and why you all up in my business. It's my business. Look, I mean, and if you just, I kind of felt some kind of way about somebody that I follow. And I feel like, at the end of the day, I say this. You can believe what you want to believe. I know what I know. And I'm just trying to share with you. And it don't have to be, it's not a slap in the, well, you know what? It is a slap in the face. The reality is a slap in the face, but it's not me. I'm not slapping you in the face. You know what I'm saying? I'm just giving you the truth. The slap in the face is that we've been here for so long and haven't had this knowledge. That's why it hurts. That's why you get mad, because you like, well, how come I don't know this? Because we felt the same way when we first got the information, but instead of getting mad, we just done the research. We just kept digging, and the more we dug, the more we found. And that's coming from someone who don't even know research. Like, I don't have the attention span to sit down and do this for hours and hours. I'm going to do a little bit, and then I'm going to come back to it, because that's what works for me. So if that works for you, do what works for you to get your history. Find your people. Grab your grandmother's birth certificate and look up her grandparents if you don't know their name already. Grab the census and look up your people. That surname, that last name is very important. There was a time when I remember doing an interview with a podcast years ago, and the reason why I have Danitra El Tournay on my books and on my Facebook, some of my older stuff, is because I had stopped using Reed. Because I was like, I'm still trying to understand who Reed is and what Reed is connected to. And by what I was told, Reed is connected to some slave owners. Because I was lost. And I remember doing that interview, and I just said last week, like, I need to contact them. Because it's like the more you learn, the more you want to share what you've learned. At that point, that's what I thought, and that's what I said. But now that I'm thinking back on that, I'm like, that's the last information I left them with. And I have new information now. And I picked that last name right back up and found value in it when I wasn't even valuing something that is my true heritage at first, because I didn't understand it. And it was some other issues I had with it too that I had to let go, which was my own dad. So sometimes we just have to do our own history. We got to dig, and we got to dig, and we got to dig until we find what it is that we're looking for. And if you don't want the truth, okay, so be it. Just stay away from me, because I'm all about the truth. Divine Honest Don, how are you? Divine Honest to the ancestors be cool, for real. And that's by choice. I get it. I get it now. And I was talking about that the other day, because it's kind of like I was always that person like, oh, okay, let me go over here and help them, and let me go over here and help them, and on my way home, if I could save somebody else, it was just like, but I wasn't even putting in the energy to save myself. First of all, I didn't have no energy left. And then, like you say, you can lead people to water, but once I get you to the water, you want me to pour it up for you, want me to serve you, want me to, you know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, I gotta let you go and let you find your way. And it might not be the easiest task. And it might be the people that you love the most. It might be, you know what I'm saying, the people you least expected. But at some point, I've given you the tools, or I've led you to the tools, or I feel like I have. And if I've fallen short in any kind of way, my bad, because I didn't mean to. I've given you what I have. But I know that at this point, at some point, you have to do the rest on your own, because I have to do it. And it is what it is. And it's not always going to be easy. It's not going to look good. It's not going to feel good, but it is what it is. And we got to swallow that and take it with us. And roll with the punches. And it's like sometimes the punch is gonna knock you down. You gotta learn how to bounce back up like that. What was that? The punching bag thing. You gotta bounce back, and everybody ain't gonna bounce back, and that's the sad part. And I'm a lead you to the bounce. Look, like I'm gonna try to lead you to the water, and all I can do, like I said before, I might provide you with a straw, but then I gotta roll out because there's so many other people you want to try to lead, and then you gotta make sure there's some water for yourself. So your water, look, so your cup. We're gonna talk about the cup again. What time is it? So, wait, hold on. One more minute. Look, so your cup is always, got some water in it. You know what I'm saying? I can't always measure exactly whether it's half full or you know what I'm saying? But I can't get close to half empty. And that's something I can't sacrifice no more because I've done it for too long, and it deplenished me to a point where I couldn't do for myself. But back to Black Wall Street. Back to Black Wall Street. See how fast I can get out the subject? But it's all connected, and we just have to learn how to, do what we got to do. And that research is, but a lot of it you're going to throw out. A lot of it's going out because the people that's behind it, it's like, oh, no, bro. Next. Who else got something for me? Because I don't even trust your sources, bro. I don't trust your sources. So I'm going to need you to come with something else. 333. That's why I was like, it's 332. But I need to trust your sources. I need you. At this point, I need you to be indigenous. I need you to be, for me to, and I can't even trust all their sources. And I ain't even saying that because the thing is, we don't always know who's indigenous. And what we've been taught is to look, and everything that our eyes are telling us is not gonna be what it is, right? Because people's even question me, as dark as my skin color is, I have been questioned a lot in my life about who I am and what I am. And I'm looking at people like, what are you? People will do it in a heartbeat. And the audacity of them to question you when they don't even know, like, and you ask the same question and silence. You will hear crickets because people just don't know. But they will question you about yours. So I'm willing to dabber a little bit because I'm still, I'm open about who is and who what, because I learned that, everybody that look like they is ain't, and everybody that look like they ain't could be. So it's a beautiful thing, and just learning so much about, the people around us. And I used to always say, I love everybody. I've always had friends of all denominations, and to hear that people could be blue and purple, I love those colors too. So it's just something we have to learn to love the differences in other people, and know that just because people look a certain way don't mean nothing. Like, don't mean nothing. And it's crazy because my dad's family is from Tulsa, Oklahoma. But my mom's family, my grandmother she was born in Paris, Texas. And she moved to Tulsa in she moved to Tulsa after the riots. I can't remember the year. But she was born in 1920 in Paris, Texas. So my mom's side is from Texas and my dad's side is from Tulsa. And it's just crazy when you find out, that there's so much connected to your family ancestries, and your people was just the bomb.com, right? I love that little saying. Look, when you find out your people was just amazing, then it make you, I talk about that walk that you have, like, it make you strut a little different. and you know, you take pride in who your people were, and you love yourself a little more, and then you appreciate your ancestors even more, because you think about the fact that, nah, you know what, slave, that whole mentality, I feel like, and you know, shout out to anybody that did live in that timeline, because we know that somebody was a slave, but we know that the percentage of people, or some of us know, because I don't know who else in the room, some of us know that the percentage of people that we've been told that were slaves were not the percentage of our people, right? So when we know that our people were inventors and were creators of pyramids and mounds and great things, it makes us realize the potential in us as well. Like, you did you take that clock loose and put that boy back together and it worked? Like, boy, quit that job today. Like, you got some skills in you that you wasn't even recognizing, because you were told and taught to stay in this mentality. And it's not picking cotton slavery, but it's modern day slavery. So when you go in and you clock in for those 8 to 9 hours a day and you give them all you got, when you come home, you don't have time to work on your own inventions because you're tired. You're tired and you still got mouths to feed and you still got bills to pay. So you get up and you do that every day for 40 years. 40 years, look. I'm not going to get mad. I remember my grandfather saying, my grandfather quit school in 3rd grade to go to work for this company. And they promised him a watch. When I tell you they'll promise you a whole pension and that the crap won't be there when it's time. Like, we got to pay attention. They talking about doing away with your Social Security and doing away with this and doing away with that. And the reality is they'll promise you 40 acres and a mule. They'll promise you a 401k plan. And knowing that crap is crashing. We got to pay attention, y'all. And the thing is, people ask me, I notice a difference in haters, you know, and the energy there's not a color on it. I have people that support my business and they're of all colors and all walks of life. But I can tell you this, the minute that somebody that's a hater finds out that I'm the owner of that business, I can tell by their energy the minute that they find out. I had this one lady, and she said, I'm gonna go ahead and tip you because I don't want the company to know how much I'm tipping you. You know what I'm saying? And it was the way she said it, and then she whispering, like, ain't nobody else here. What you whispering for? It was that back in the day, like, here, little slave, I'm gonna give you a little bit of this. And sometimes I wouldn't even say nothing, but sometimes my mouth just get the best of me. So that was the last tip I got. I just say that from her. Cause I was like, well, I'm the owner of this here business, but I appreciate you. Cause at that point, I don't even want your business no more. You know what I'm saying? Once I feel that energy from you, it's a wrap. Like, I ain't got to do your feet, her feet, now feet up in this boy. Like, call somebody else and see how mobile they gonna be. Because I can guarantee you, I got this whole city on lock. On lock. I was the only. And there was another business that tried to come here, and, you know, people will try to duplicate what you do all day long. Baby, I can guarantee you, you ain't taking this work. I had to shut my whole website down because I would be getting hits from China, from all of these places, time and time again, day in and day out. More hits from right here in the Americas. And what you doing? You're not booking a service in Texas. So what are you doing? You just... And I knew not to have details because I've literally created pedicures. I'm not finna have details, all the ingredients in there. But even the title of it, even the... Like, people will copy your stuff down to the... And this goes back to Black Wallstreet. Look. Because you can be an inventor or something and people will take your stuff and run with it. Put pictures, take your name off and put their name on it. Like, ain't no shame in their game. And it's crazy because the one company that did come here, I got an invite from them. invite from them to come work for them, and I did because I want to see how you operate. I want to see what you coming to bring to the table, because I can always learn. But they always say, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, and you always need to know what the competition is doing too, right? So yeah, I'll take a few clients from you. I want to know what the deal is, and I could just tell you they not in business no more. So yeah, and then I started getting complaints about them. Don't call me, call them. But they were only targeting certain areas. But they had like subscriptions, and they was only targeting uptown and in certain areas. And she was like, yeah, every time I look up, they hit my account. Well, AYS Mobile Spiral, I won't do that. I won't do that. I'm gonna send you an invoice and you can pay the invoice. Look, I don't even keep your credit card on file. I ain't got time for none of that. I came for what I came for. I'm only leaving for what I came to get. And I don't want no extra. I mean, but if you want to tip me, I take that. But you know what I'm saying? The rest you can keep. But the audacity that we live in this time today, and we still deal with these things, that people will try to just walk off with your stuff and just put their name on it. Like I posted time and time again, companies that done it. And the thing is, we need to start putting them on blast more often. There's a post, I'm gonna repost it. And I think her business name is Janelle, her real name is Janelle, I don't want to misquote it, but I'm gonna repost it. She made these beautiful pants, and this is just one of them. And look up this company, baby, a well-known company. Then took her full design and redone it. She got some nice stitching up the back, like what is it called? The X's that go up the back, kind of like this, where they do that stitching up the back. They copied the whole design. And then because you're a small business, they'll try to put you out of business. Because what small business has the money to keep paying for attorneys and fighting this and fighting that? It's a shame, but I mean, it's still happening. And it's the time that we live in, and we just have to be cognitive of it. And we have to make sure we sharing all that crap and making sure that people know, don't support these businesses no more. We are the biggest consumers. We can stop it with spending, and of course we in a time where we see stuff is happening, but we can still, like all that Black Friday stuff. I know I didn't spend $1. You called it what? Look up the history of Black Friday. Your Monday Madness and your Monday, all of that. I don't want no parts in it. I don't need nothing that bad. I'd rather pay full price than buy it on the day that you say to buy it, because it's always something involved in it. And look, Universal Star Seed. Remember when I was talking about the fear of missing out, FOMO? Look that one up too. All of that is crap. They get that stuff for pennies on the dollar, and then try to tell you it's a goddamn me sale and ain't nothing to sell about it. Got people trampling over each other over some crap. And some of it's worth something. I got a house full of stuff. I ain't gonna call it all crap, but you know what I mean. But yeah, look up Osage disasters that happened in Oklahoma too, and it's hard to find any information on that. So as soon as I find enough, I'm definitely doing something on that. Divine Honors. Is it 11-3? I think I asked you that before. I be want to make sure I got it right. How you doing, Lorena? Grand Rising Universal Star Seed. Yeah, it's madness. But yeah, look up Osage disasters. That was in Osage County in Oklahoma, and it was before Black Wall Street. And then Richmond was the next. Well, wait, did they say Richmond was the first Black Wall Street, but it was the next Black Wall Street that was destroyed after Oklahoma. So that's something else I'm gonna do a story on. But I didn't know if we should pay a moment of silence or if we should just do a divine honors for the two survivors. Well, the two out of the 3 survivors that were left. that are no longer with us. And then, you know, I want to pay homage to Mother Randall, who's still here too. And she's 111. So it's weird because everything I pull up, they're saying Viola Fletcher was the oldest. And they keep getting the story all misconstrued, but we don't want to forget that Mother Randall is still here, and she's 111 too. So how do you step over that or not do the they be making me, it's kind of like you don't want to forget anybody. So yes, we'll do a moment of silence and divine honors. So we're gonna pay divine honors, and I call it the three survivors, but two of them have recently passed, and the two that have passed is Uncle Red, whose name is Hughes Van Ellis, and Viola Ford Fletcher. And then we will still pay homage to Mother Randall, who is still here. Divine honors, divine honors, divine honors to all three of you and your resilience. We appreciate it. We appreciate every minute of your time that you took out to make sure that this story would forever be heard. And the fact that they were traveling all the way to Washington at over 100 years old just to speak before a group of people who could care less, but they still spoke their truth. And that's the beauty of it. They still stood their ground and spoke their truth, no matter whether they wouldn't allow themselves to be silenced, no matter whether they were heard or not. And that's the beauty of it. Like, the case was thrown out, but they were still heard, and they still accomplished what they set out to accomplish. So big ups to y'all. We appreciate the resilience and the will to keep pushing at over 100 and 100 years old. Like, I had two aunties that lived to over 100. And when I tell you, we talking about some resilient people that still trucking, still moving, still walking, still talking, still breathing, not just breathing, but I'm talking about still cooking. We talking about not bent over, not in the bed. Look, pull up some of those interviews on YouTube. We're talking about people still moving, like they might have had a little problem with their hearing, but at that point, baby, they deserve that right. They don't want to hear. They don't want to hear none of this crap that's going on. So divine honors to y'all, and then we gonna pay. Look, let me put my timers on because I want 3 minutes of silence, and then I'm gonna break and start the I think did I delete my clock? Baby, when I tell you. My nose keep running. Okay. It's 3:50. We're gonna do 3 minutes of silence. Till 3:53. Boy, you know you talk a lot. If it's hard for you to be quiet for 3 minutes, I need to do that more often. Big ups to y'all. We appreciate all our ancestors that came before us. That's why we do our fruits and flower offerings. And for those that question that, look it up. Look it up. Do your research. It's not a battle of minds. Like, we're not here to debate information with you. We're just here to teach you what we're doing to connect to our ancestors. And when I looked it up, I understood a lot more about it, even though I was already doing it by pouring out the liquor. And you know what I'm saying? We were already doing it in other forms. So just finding out other ways to do it and ways to enhance it is even better. It makes us better, right? So we bask in the things that make us better. And so I appreciate y'all for joining this live about Tulsa and Black Wall Street. Don't forget about Mother Fletcher's book. Let me put it up. And then I'm going to break and I'm going to come back for the next book study in just a minute. But this is her book. And you can find it online. Just make sure that it says it's by her, because I'm sure there are some bootleg copies out by now. Of course. Thank y'all for joining. I'll be right back. So hold a space. Don't go far. Look, use the bathroom, grab a pen, grab your book, grab your notes, grab your granny, grab your kids. We're going to dive into this history a little bit deeper and read When the Earth Speaks. So thank y'all for joining. Thank you for the gifts. I appreciate all the likes. I appreciate your time. Every second counts. Every second, every minute, every ounce of your time matters. So I appreciate the fact that you spent it with me, and we're going to learn together, right? We're going to learn together. Thank you. Give me a few minutes and I'll be right back. Peace, love, and light. I don't know what I'm doing. I thought I turned it out.